said that wars are only won upon the anvil of honor.
Others believe victory requires strategy and a mastery of power.
War is deception. A game played best from the shadows.
Only strength and raw power can assure total dominance.
But of course, you could forget all that and just have fun! Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft.
Hello there and welcome to another episode of VG55. This time I got some great legendary friends from the Fireside Bahrain. It's all gonna be about Hearthstone here. So introduce yourself, man.
Ahmed Fadl and
I'm Ali Mahmoud.
Okay, you guys are fanatics, like big time fans of the game Hearthstone. Tell me about the game.
basically not just fanatics, super addicts.
Addict.
Like if we don't play around an hour or two a day, this is just regular gaming since we have jobs in our life.
Yeah.
Well, there goes our reputation.
Yes. Like we're not esport players that play 8 hours a day. Like it's basically Hearthstone is a Blizzard game that came out 2 years now. It's been three or 2 years.
It's actually 4 years if you count the beta.
4 years we count the beta.
He's a better player.
Yeah.
He's
a better beta player. Okay.
As you know, the game is a card game. Like each year, we'll get around three expansions with adventures and all that. So it's basically a huge collections of cards in the game.
Okay.
And what does he have for me, Harry?
Well, how about this? How pretty much you're gonna walk me through an intro that's
Yes.
happening here, guys. So I'm gonna have the visuals.
Yes.
Might as well just talk about that. So let's have a watch. So what's happening here?
This is the main menu of the game. Like we have play, solo adventures, the arena, and the black box is basically Tavern Brawl. Tavern Brawl is a weekly game, and each day you get quests in the game. And if there are some quests you couldn't finish, you can actually just click X and change your daily quests of the game.
Okay.
Like you see, I have Warlock Victory, Hunter Mastery, which I changed into Stable Master, which is also a Hunter quest. And this is the collection where all my cards in the game are. Like I have like a Shaman deck, a Warrior deck, a Hunter deck, more Shamans because I'm a Shaman addict.
Okay. What's a shaman?
A Shaman is basically a class that's focused on the elemental cards and mostly elements.
Okay.
Here I just disenchanted a couple of copies because I want to craft a new card, but
I love that term, disenchanted. I'm like, oh my god, this is very cool. Go ahead.
as you can see there are many types of cards. From the expansion names, Ongoro, Gadgetan, and some names are difficult to say, the old gods, the classics, the basics.
Karazhan.
Yes, Karazhan. And basically the adventures, League of Legends, I mean League of Explorers.
Yeah.
The Grand Tournament, Black Rock Mountain, Goblins and Gnomes, Nexramus, and the Hall of Fame is basically the legendary that they just put in the Hall of Fame.
I just like that practice, like, League of Legends. I know that's back in your head,
And
but we're doing Hearthstone.
one of my favorite modes is the arena. It's basically once you join an arena match, it's basically they give you random cards.
Okay.
You do this basically, you create a full deck of
Sure.
random cards, and you
Yeah.
have 3 matches. If you lose, not 3 matches, you play 12 matches, but if you lose 3, that's it. You have to start a new arena deck.
Essentially, basically, you play until you get either 12 wins or you lose 3 times. And you lose
Okay.
3 times and you're out. The more times you win, the greater the reward is generally. So it can go from anything from a single pack to a pack plus gold and dust to 2 packs, sometimes even 3 if you're lucky.
And it costs 150 gold to join an arena match, or if you have real money, you can just go in.
Wow.
You can pay for it, but most people just gather gold in the game, which you get winning or doing the quests.
Huh. Look at that, One Night in Karazhan. That looked like a movie poster.
these are basically the story adventures.
We need to clarify a little bit here. Since the game has been out for such a long time, the format's changed a little bit. It initially started as just Hearthstone, and then they released the first adventure with it, the Curse of Naxxramas. And an adventure is basically a solo way of playing the game. You play against these fictional bosses and you unlock certain cards that way. And then this would come out like a couple of months after the release of the initial game. Then after that came the first official expansion, Goblins vs. Gnomes. Now the expansion is different from an adventure. An expansion is just a ton of cards that they're dumping that you can either purchase or craft and use to make new decks. But the adventures tend to have a finite amount of cards. And recently with the changes, they've changed the format. So now instead of having adventures, you have just expansions. They're explaining it in the sense that this way a player ends up having more cards over the course of 1 year than having the old model of expansion adventure.
Wow.
This makes it a lot more interesting because the different kind of combinations that you can have can vary extremely, where before an expansion would have a huge effect on the game and an adventure would have a minimal effect on the decks that were played. Now every 3 to 4 months the game will be changing completely.
Every 3 to 4 months, man.
Yes, basically as they say, like it's a 2-year rule, because after 2 years, like the latest expansion, the oldest expansion would go away, and you just need to focus on the newest cards. So basically, if Naxxramas and Blackrock Mountain and which I always forget the name again, Karazhan and League of Explorers are all, except Karazhan, they're all gone now. We can't use any of these cards in the standard mode.
In the standard format. So here's another problem that the game has been trying to address as it was aging. Having different combinations of cards and having the insane decks that you could have is fun and everything, but after a while it becomes so random that you cannot consistently anticipate what the enemy is going to be doing. So the Blizzard solution to this was to change it from 1 to 2 different formats. So there's the standard, where the most recent expansions and the original classic set can be used, and then there's wild format, where anything can be played. So that's where things tend to go a little bit crazy. But in standard, it's for the more hardcore that really want to just gain the rankings, play with refined decks.
For me, it's more like focused on the meta that's happening. By meta, people create decks that are focused on the standard format that are in the latest expansions. So that's why you see lots of combinations, but not as much as you see them in Wild.
Yeah, this is true. Like if you play in standard, you can expect to play against maybe 5 to 7 different types of decks.
But like you know what they're.
You, after a while, you start understanding the decks, and you start being able to anticipate what cards will be played on a specific turn. In Wild, this is not necessarily true. Sometimes you're gonna face a deck like a Secret Paladin, for example, where you know that on turn 6 he'll play this minion because this minion does XYZ action, and you can play around that, but that doesn't happen as often as in standard.
Interesting, very interesting. Well guys, I think we had an amazing intro happening here. Stay tuned, as later on we're gonna go through a serious game, a standard match maybe, and pretty much gonna walk me through the game, seeing what's happening from A to Z. Stay tuned, guys.
Whispers of an ancient tomb,
holding horrors in every room.
ghastly ghouls, pythons galore. But in the shadows lurks something more. Knights of death and abominations, claiming your bits for new creations. And if by chance you should survive,
There's plenty of sweet loot inside. Curse of Naxxramas, a Hearthstone adventure.
Alright guys, we are back again, and this time we're gonna have a standard match, I guess.
Yes, it's a standard match, not Wild. standard match, and
Well,
I'm ranked.
What's gonna happen with wild? Like, I'm gonna go wild. What's gonna?
It's basically like you said, it's so wild. Like, but in standard, I already know the expectations of my opponent since the meta is basically well known. And wild, I can never know what my opponent is gonna play. He can have anything. Like this guy, he played a Reno Warlock against me once, and I'm like.
See, this is how I always beat him.
Like,
unpredictable decks.
Suddenly, I get a card and I die. And
Okay.
It's over. That's wild. In
Yeah.
standard, I can expect my opponent moves. I can predict him. I can
Okay.
basically ruin his play.
Ruin his play. So
Yes.
how about we just watch a match right now? Let's do this. Okay, so walk me through.
These are the decks I made in the game. I'm gonna use my control shaman, and I'm rank 18, by the way, not the best rank, because the game has around 25 ranks. After you finish rank 1, you basically win all the games in rank 1. You go into legend.
Yeah, but Ahmed, don't minimize your actual skill here. The ranking isn't actually that intuitive. Yes, he's rank 18, but he's actually in the top 50% of all players playing in standard at this rank. So it's kind of
Basically, I'm on the top 50 players in the game.
50%.
50%.
It feels like a lecture from Oxford right now. It's like this thing is really happening right. It's very fascinating.
It gets quite complex, but as you increase in rank, you
You basically go into a higher difficulty play. You'll find people playing more different decks than other decks. There's something you want to mention as well about the game, Harry?
this particular game.
No, not this particular game. About Hearthstone. The 9 classes.
The 9 classes, yeah.
Ah, right, yeah. Part we skipped a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
So, in Hearthstone, generally you have 9 different classes that you can choose from. Here, although they tend to look a little bit different, they're both actually playing shamans. This is what we would call a mirror match.
Mirror match,
yeah,
okay.
because two players are playing the same classes against each other.
Okay.
But both have very different styles of play. So Ahmed here is playing a N'Zoth control shaman.
Yes, by N'Zoth he means that my characters my cards have a death rattle effect in them. By death rattle, when they die, triggers the effect of the card. And by using N'Zoth, which is a legendary, it brings back all my death rattle cards in the game into the field. Like it's the final move where I'll just win. Yes.
So what's happening now?
Basically, I put a taunt card, which has a battle cry to choose 3 different random taunt cards, and I chose White Iron. And now, since he played 3 cards, and one of them is the totem, which makes him draw a card, I want to basically kill all of them, which I'm going to use my magic card, Lightning Storm here.
Taunt is quite an interesting mechanic in the game. It essentially means that you cannot attack the hero directly. You have to either attack the minion with taunt or use a spell or some sort of way to bypass it. So it's a very defensive mechanic here. The totem, the 0/3 Manatite totem, is crucial to keep up because it keeps drawing him cards. You can see that his opponent is quite desperate to get rid of it. It's not that it's really important to have so many cards in your hand at any given moment, but it's the options that you get from having those cards. But at the same time, you have to be wary of having too many. You can have a maximum of 10 cards in your hand, and if you start drawing more than that, they start burning.
No. Regarding this game right now, okay, so you guys went really heavy on me, to be honest. Now, let's say a guy like me likes talking smart like you guys, who just want to sound smart, want to look smart.
Educated into the game.
It's like, it's very fascinating what's happening here. You know, it's just like that card and this card. I'm like, oh, okay. But now, is it easy to enter a game like this?
Hearthstone is a simple card game. It gets complicated as you try to be basically more of a pro player instead of a casual player.
Okay.
It's very easy to get into. It's just very hard to master.
Very hard to master.
But the concepts in the game are quite simple. You have spells, you have minions, you have taunts, which stop the opponent from attacking you. Think of it as a giant shield.
Okay.
Then you have death rattle effects, an effect that happens when the minion dies. And you have a battle cry, an effect that happens when the minion is played.
Okay.
And everything else is written on the card, so none of it is ambiguous.
So
every card
basically,
has
if you
its
can read the
instructions.
card, you know the effects. Then you can create a deck based on the effect of the card. Because my build is basically on the death rattle cards. which is one of them is my white eyes. Once he dies, you're gonna see that I get my white eyes, a 10/10 card into my deck.
And it only costs 5 mana.
By 5 mana, you can see that the glowing crystals on the right, the bottom right, each round you gain 1 crystal. And some cards cost around 2 crystals, 4 crystals, 3 crystals, and that's basically the cost of the card. So if I play a 7 mana card, I can't play another one, because basically I lost all my mana crystals.
Every card comes with a cost.
So basically you need to know what to play and what not to play.
If you really want to screw with your head here, there are some cards that make cards cheaper. There are some cards that make cards more expensive. There are cards that affect the cost of your enemies' cards and so on. So it actually gets really complicated when you get into the details.
These are combos in the game.
Yeah.
Now, like you say, it's a card game, right?
Yes.
Is there an actual physical, real life cards of Hearthstone?
Some fans create these types of cards, but since Hearthstone is based on battle cries and effects and most likely digital effects in the game, it's hard to implement in real life, not like Magic the Gathering or basically Yu-Gi-Oh, because their effects are different. Like they can implement the effects because it's basically just written in the card.
Okay.
Because some card like my Death Rattle minion, if he dies, I get another minion, which is a different minion.
Okay.
And let's say Hearthstone is based on RNG, which is random number generator. Because some cards, if I play them, they give me a random card from the whole Hearthstone cards collection.
Okay.
So you can't implement these options in a regular physical game.
Yeah, these restrictions would make the game a lot less interesting. One simple example that we could use actually, like in Magic, you could have a card that would discover or help you draw a specific card from your deck.
Yeah.
Because you're using physical cards, you have to then show that card to your opponent to prove that you picked the correct one. In Hearthstone, you don't have to do that. The game does it for you, and thus you're not revealing the card. So there's a lot more tactics involved.
You're not revealing your actions.
You're not revealing your actions.
So can you tell me a little bit what's happening here right now?
So far I drew my 10/10 5 mana minion, so he needs to destroy him now. And 10/10 is a huge number in the game, and he doesn't, all his minions are small, so he'll sacrifice most of his minions to remove my 10/10 taunt out of the game.
Wow.
There's actually a very simple calculation to know if something is good or bad value. For the cost of a card, you add up the health and the attack of the minion. If the ratio is 2:1, value to cost, then it's an average card. Let's say a card costs 5 mana, and it has 5 health and 5 attack.
Okay.
So 5 and 5 is 10, 2:1, that's a basic card. Something that's very good value would have a much higher combination. Let's say Bittertide Hydra. It would have an 8 attack, 8 health, and only cost 5 mana, but it has a downside. The 10/10 that he got for 5 mana is incredibly good value, but in order to get it, he had to first play White Eyes, have White Eyes die, have the card go into his deck, and then draw it from the deck. So there are a lot of conditions associated with it, and that factors into the cost of the card.
Okay, so the game itself right now, we've been talking like, behind the scenes right now, and it's like, you tell me that there are guys who have 8 hours of gameplay per day, and they see this as a job on Twitch.
Basically, like Twitch is a platform for many people that can get into, but not be basically the most enjoyable to watch. Like some players, like a guy which I really enjoy watching is called This Guy's Toast. He does amazing plays. Like he showed that you can play the game without paying a dime into the game. Basically, you don't basically waste money into the game, and you still can reach a legendary level. Because basically, you can buy packs. You can basically it's a free game, but you can buy cards from the game. Basically, buy around 50 packs, 20 packs, all that amount, and you'll get legendaries and all that stuff.
But think of it as booster packs.
Yes, basically booster packs. Like any card game, you need to buy cards, but he says you don't have to. You just need to put dedication. Like he showed, like he reached from the rank 25 to 10 in 41 games. It took him 41 games. That's around 5 to 6 hours.
5 to 6 hours a day?
Yes.
No, this was total to get to rank 10, which
rank
a
10.
lot of people actually require a couple of weeks to do.
Yes.
What about you guys? Like, how much time do you spend?
That's what I say. Like, for me, as you can see, I'm rank 18.
Okay.
I don't put much time into it because I'm more of a casual gamer.
Casual gamer.
Like, as we talked in the other episode, you have Eddie and what's the other player name? Yusham. They're hardcore players. Like, they put so much time into the game that they reach rank 1. Which is a lot of time.
We're talking about Ahmed here being in the top 50 percentile.
Okay.
Those guys, and you'll see their game coming up in another episode, those guys are in the top 1%, top 0.5% in the server. And
the server
to put
has
that
millions
into context,
millions of players.
So
Hearthstone just celebrated 70 million accounts.
70 million. That's a population of like...
That's a country.
That's a country.
Imagine being in the top 0.5% of that. That's the dedication that these guys have put in.
So, Fireside Bahrain, Ahmed Ali and Muhammad Maku himself right now. He is here in spirit, by the way. So, okay guys, so pretty much you gave me like a quick brief about the game itself, about what Hearthstone is all about, and that kind of stuff. So, what can you tell to the beautiful audience?
Get into the game, increase the Middle East community, and it's surprising. Like in Bahrain, we got around 200 players into our Fireside gathering, which is a number we didn't expect. Like we expected around 30 players to show up at the event. Now we found out we have so many players, and we want to keep these numbers increasing. Like the gaming community needs to grow up in the Middle East, and most of them are hidden.
Hidden.
Yeah.
It's basically hidden.
You'd be incredibly surprised. We organized the event. We went there, and suddenly, co-workers, friends, partners, they all started showing up, and everyone's having those "you play too" kind of conversations.
It's basically
like, did I have to really organize an event just to find this out?
Just to find out.
Yeah, basically that's why it's a Fireside gathering, because the main focus of the Fireside gathering is not the tournament. It's the gathering part.
Okay.
We gather all those players in one location and have an amazing time.
That's beautiful.
You saw how amazing and we didn't even play. We just saw them having fun, and we were having fun. We're like, we want to play, but we can't play because we're organizing this whole thing.
To be honest, we secretly organized the event just because we wanted to play with more people. And during the day, we did not actually get a chance to play many matches.
Oh my gosh, you were running an event.
Yeah. But we've had so many good ones since then, though.
Amazing.
Really, the community has been fantastic. And for anybody who wants to start playing, the only thing I can say is just download it, and that's it.
It's free.
That's all you need.
It's free. Just download, play, have a great time.
Okay, well guys, that's pretty much it for this episode with Ahmed and the legendary Ali as well from Fireside Bahrain, guys. Pretty much follow these guys. They have a lot to offer. Fireside Bahrain. So pretty much, Ali, Ahmed, thank you so much for being here in another episode of VG55.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. It's been great.
Oh man, it's been amazing actually. Okay guys, stay tuned for another episode happening here with VG55 on Bahrain TV. Game on and stay strong.
Goblins and gnomes, both are super brilliant, but you would never know. Everything they seem to make is faulty or explode. Perfecting imperfection, goblins and gnomes.
Unleash goblin fury for Gnomeregon!
Have ye heard the rumblings? The mountain stirs once more. Beneath its crags, cliffs, and rocks, there's evil in its core. Fire made flesh, dragon's breath, teeth and claws and flame, calling any heroes out there that are brave. Or just insane!
from east to west, heroes are sent, seeking glory in the greatest of events. There are knights on noble steeds, those who will bring them to their knees. There are monsters to test their mettle at every turn. Legends will rise based on their merits. There's even pirates riding parrots. It's the grand tournament.
We've traversed the tombs of Naxxramas. We've climbed every cliff on Black Rock. Now the world cries out for heroes. As a new evil rises, there will be danger. There will be doom. There will be ancient temples filled with relics, treasures, and traps. Who will answer the call?
Explorers lead, and we are in need of explorers. Adventure we seek, cross land and sea. Born to come and join us.
Yes!
Wars are only won upon the anvil of honor.
Victory or death!
Victory requires strategy.
I can help you with that.
Only strength can assure total dominance.
But of course, you could forget all that and just have fun!
Well played.
Hearthstone! Heroes of Warcraft.